Yes, good morning, people. Good afternoon, good evening. I wholeheartedly offer whatever such a time zone. And please, if you're in the chat, do let me know if you can hear me. Stav, welcome back to Chelsea Perspective Talks. Nice to see you, Strip Beer. Nice to see you, my good friend. It's always nice to have you in the chat, the queen of all things. Ty, I hope you're doing better. Stav, how are you doing today? If you're in the
Coachila,
chat, please do let me know.
I can't hear you properly. I'm getting feedback.
Oh, you're getting feedback?
Yeah, that's better.
Check maybe you have it open in another place. That's probably usually why you're getting feedback. Oh, thank you, Strip. Thank you for confirming that the sound is good. And JVK, hey Coachila, just Viola here. I appreciate you. Always good to see you around. So we have plenty of topics to cover today. Very important topic that includes Lukaku, but not Lukaku's interview. We're done with that. If there's a need to talk about it a little bit, we may do that. But I don't see the need to talk about Lukaku today again. We'll talk about the team's current form. We'll talk about Lukaku's form, and then we'll talk about Chelsea overall, the manager himself, Thomas Tuchel. So get ready, and we will let your opinions, we'll let your inputs in the chat to drive the stream. It doesn't matter our form prior. We tend to do well versus sports trivia. Well, I understand, but this is not, we're not talking about sports today. We might find time maybe to do the predicted lineup because I didn't do one today. But we'll see. Stav, welcome back to Chelsea Perspective. How are you doing today?
Fine, thanks. Fine. I can hear you okay now.
Okay, very well, very well. Yeah, so like I said, we'll start by talking about Lukaku's form, where people argue that it is he's struggling because of the system. He's struggling because some people even say Wallahan, his own nonsense saying that his teammates doesn't pass the ball to him. That's to me is absolute nonsense because that's not the case. So my question is, why do you think he's struggling?
Well, I saw comments by himself. He's not being critical of the system, but what he's saying is that he is better when he's facing the goal and the ball's played in to his feet and or behind the defence and running at goal. He said, despite the fact that he's a big bloke, people have misconception that it's all strength and that playing the ball into his feet, facing away from goal. It's not his game. It's not his forte. That's what he said. With this thing about nobody's passing to him, I think that's built on the fact that earlier in the season, Harvard hadn't passed to him even once. But the other night at Brighton, they had twice passed to him. Once he slightly overhit it. The other time he played a perfect ball, but Lukaku was facing the other way and had to turn. So the defender got to it first. There was the long ball by the edge over the top from our own half, which put the ball into the danger area in behind the defence, which is what he likes. So this thing that nobody's passing to him isn't, to me anyway, my opinion, is a nonsense. Right?
Yeah, that was why I said it's absolute nonsense. Go ahead, Stav.
It's because he's expected to play like Drogba, right? Drogba could play going either way. He could come short, receive the ball, hold it up, bring in, let's say, Robin Duff or Joe Cole, or he could turn on the ball and run behind defenders. He had power. Although he looked smaller than Lukaku, he had natural power. Just because you're big doesn't mean you can even have big muscles, but it doesn't mean that you're actually powerful. Right? We need to find a way to get the best out of him.
But here's the thing: the truth is, Drogba is more technically gifted. So
Yeah.
Let's not go into the aspect of where people expect him to play like Drogba. Let me take this discussion to to an angle where I know you've always talked about. Let's see what your opinion is in that case. Some argue that the system is the issue, that the system is the reason why he's not firing. Because if you talk about the system, I'd argue that that's not the case because he started very well. He started very well with us playing three at the back. He was, he used his power very well. Running behind defenders, he did that very well. And Kovacic found him on a couple of occasions and something like that. So why do you think the system is the issue? Why Lukaku isn't firing on all cylinders? I'd say no, if you ask me.
Yeah, deliberately try to provoke me now, aren't you? Okay, you provoked me. The sticker's gone in. Right.
No, it's not about provoking you. No. I know how you feel about the system.
I'm joking. Right. Forget the back three. Right. Forget the back three. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Forget the two pivots. Right.
Yes.
The crucial aspect is the wing backs. Right. That's the wing backs. Yeah. If you saw the goals that he scored at the beginning of the season, apart from the one where he turned the Arsenal defender inside out, they've all been from close in, poaching goals, coming from the width, right? Yeah. Whether that's Alonso, whether it was Chilwell, whether it was Reece James, whether it was Aspin, right? Because the ball was played in the danger area, yeah? So the system, right, dictates that we play out from the back, slow, and it's too slow, right? Because, one second.
I'm with you.
It's too slow. I was coughing, so I turned my mic off.
Okay.
Right, it comes out from the back, but it's slow build-up, yeah, which allows opposing defenders to get back and get in behind him, right? Now, since we lost the two wing-backs, the attacks are not the same, right? And we're not getting the ball down the wings, and we're not getting crosses in. We're not building the ball into the box, right? We're playing in front of him and in front of defenders, their position defence, right? So we're trying to weave the ball. We're trying to weave the ball to him, right, through crowded areas, right? And you're asking wingers to do that, right? Who are predominantly about getting down the line, crossing the ball, or taking people on, crossing the ball, right? But we're asking basically wingers, whether that's Pulisic, Ziyech, or Callum Hudson-Odoi, right? Even Mason Mount. Mason Mount's the most suited because he is naturally a midfielder, an attacking mid. So he's more suited in trying to get the ball through in that way. But even for him, it's difficult, right? Because we're playing centrally, right? And instead of, in this current situation, with both, forget Alonso, he's too slow, right? He's in the comfort zone. He knows that Chilwell's out for the whole season and he goes into a comfort zone. So forget Alonso, right? If you can't get the production from the wing backs, you've got to switch and play with two wingers, right?
Okay, but let me put it this way, Star. Maybe
the system.
Yeah, let me put it this way. By the way, before we continue, Bobby, welcome. Blue morning to you, Bobby. Welcome back to Chelsea Perspective. Always good to have you around.
Yeah, hi guys. Hi. On the road, so haven't got much time.
Okay. I'll come to you in just a few seconds. So overall, Stav, you're saying that the system is the issue, is the reason why Lukaku isn't firing on all cylinders?
Yeah, because the system is reliant on the wing back, and we don't have the right people to play the wing back. So consequently, you've got to play the wingers in their proper positions, right? And you can have one player in behind him if you want, right? But it's got to be somebody like Mount. Yeah. So consequently, instead of playing the 5 at the back or whatever you want to call it, or 5 in midfield, we've got to change it. We've got to play with 2 wingers and one man behind him, right? Whether Mason Mount sits in the midfield and then pushes forward, or whether that's Harvard, right? Then that's okay. But you have to have the width, because playing narrowly.
Well, here's the thing. Let me bring you back again before I go to Bobby immediately, and I'll come back to you. He started well. If he had to continue scoring in every game that he's played and not miss some sitters, because the truth is he's missed some sitters. And the truth is we've seen also the argument that he's improved, his touch has improved, is absolute nonsense. He hasn't actually improved in terms of his touches. And he's so poor in the air, forgot how, even how big he is, how tall he is. It doesn't, he's not that good. So, but I get your point, Stav. The services from the wings, if I understand you correctly. But since Bobby is leaving soon, Stav, I'll come back to you in a bit.
Yeah, yes. Go to Bobby.
So, sorry?
Yeah, go to Bobby. It's okay.
Okay. Thank you, Stav. Now, Bobby, coming to you, the question is, Lukaku started very well. The first 2 games he played, you could argue he was brilliant, and we were all raving, singing him praises, saying how good he is. Even opposition fans and coaches saying how good his return will be for us. But it just seemed as if the signing was a mistake overall, because why some people are saying the problem with Lukaku is the system. If they're saying this is the system, what happened? He started well. Nobody complained. First 2-3 games he played, he was good. So do you believe that the issue is the system, or do you think it's the player?
Wow. I'm going to be very measured as I talk. I need to really be clear. I'm never moved by bandwagon sentiments. I'm always very much opposite to that. That's why sometimes I get people getting offended by what I say, because in all intents and purposes, I just go straight for the truth. And the truth of the matter is that Lukaku has deficiencies. He has always had deficiencies as a striker, which means he's not really, for a top-rate team, he's not quite good enough. And yes, he did a few good things in Italy, which you have to remember that the pace of that league is very, very different to the Premier League. The level of study on each player in terms of marking them out of the game and looking for their weaknesses is very different. Now, saying all this, I will say this. Lukaku was a panic buy. Now, it was a panic buy.
It sounds like it now. Go ahead.
However, I don't fully put anybody, those that bought him, to blame, because they were left in a difficult situation. And it takes bravery to be able to say, no, we won't buy this summer. We will use our forwards like Armando Broja and Havertz and Timo Werner and so on, which is a bit of a gamble. Or we will get a cheap option like Vlahovic at that time until the next summer, where some of the A-list marquee strikers are possibly available. But that needs more football people in the board. Now, we don't have that. At the moment, we've only got Petr Cech, and the rest are all business people. So he was a panic buy. To be fair to them, they were trying to appease the new manager. I do not accept or believe all this kibosh that, if Tuchel doesn't do well, he's out the door. BS. They want to keep this man. They want to support the man. And getting Lukaku was their attempt at doing that, although it was a panicked attempt. But it is what it is. Our players, some of them are not good enough. That's a reality. There's been a lot of hype around them. I put Ziyech in that category. He's not consistent enough. and he has problems with playing back-to-back games in a tough league. Fine, that's what we've got. We have a genius of a manager who has managed to keep us where we are in the first place. And another area that people don't like to talk about, but which is the absolute truth, is that the Premier League and the FA has tried and done what they could to sabotage Chelsea's attempts at the Premier League this season, using this whole COVID isolation match postponement debacle. Because the truth of can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, go on.
We can hear you, Bobby. We can hear you. Okay, now coming back to you, I think Bobby had we were hearing him, but at the time his voice, we lost his voice. Maybe he jumped back again. He had a poor connection, I think. So Stav, here now that brings Bobby's argument brings me to that argument. Okay, Bobby, we were hearing you. It looks like your internet, because you said you're on the road, you were breaking up. It wasn't stable. So go ahead, complete your thoughts so I can go to Stav.
I'm coming to some blind spots, so I'll just finish quick, and then I'll be able to listen to you more easier than speaking with you for a while. So I don't know where I got to, but all I'm saying is that the FA and the Premier League and those opposition members of their board have sabotaged Chelsea. That is a fact. We always pretend, we've got this free, fair system. No, we have a corrupt system like everything else, and it is open to a lot of bias. And they have been biased against Chelsea. They wanted to run that club to the ground in terms of the players. And Tuchel is right. Those players are absolutely exhausted. When they played Brighton, they played a team who playing Chelsea is a World Cup final anyway, and had played 9 games, while Chelsea had played 15. Chelsea players were dead on their feet, and it showed. So that's another thing that we have to contend with. I think it's a miracle we've got as far as we've got, and I just hope and pray that the board find a way to compensate for the mistake of the purchase of Lukaku.
Honestly, here's where I agree with you entirely. I know everybody's not the same. Most of us, like Street Beer said in the chat, she wanted Haaland. I wanted Haaland. I wanted Vlahovic, so to speak, even more than Haaland, because Vlahovic to me is more technically gifted than Lukaku, if you ask me. And they were in the same league. He was just 3 goals behind Lukaku, even though Vlahovic played in a team that created lesser chances than Inter Milan did. So I'm not going to go into blaming anybody for not going for Vlahovic. Now it looks like he's more likely to join Arsenal. Forget the rumors that, Chelsea are looking at him. If we get him, I'd be happy. But that I will still come back to why we were even in a rush to go for a striker. Because my argument is, had he been somebody like Pep, we created so many chances last season.
Can I quickly answer that, please, while
yes.
I'm on air? Sorry to cut you. Do you know why we were in a rush to get Lukaku? You see, this is where, when you don't have enough football people in the board, you're looking at people without the knowledge and the confidence of the knowledge about football to make these sort of brave decisions. Man City have a very experienced director of football, and they have a few other football people in their board. So they're able to have a vision and set out a long-term plan in terms of their purchases. We have people that are not really football people. They were wanting to appease Tuchel, and of course the hype and the noise around Lukaku. Oh, he's doing so well at Inter. He's lost weight. He's this. He's that. He's this. He's that. He's that. And if they hadn't got him, and there had been some problems in the season, they would have been blamed for it. So in a way, it is damned if you do for them and damned if you don't. So they panicked and they bought him. So though as much as it is a panic buy, I can see why it happened. Now, the problem is when you make an expensive mistake like this, a £100 million mistake, you've got to either find a way to live with it or find a way to recuperate some of the funds and compensate for it. Chelsea doesn't have a bottomless pit of money, as we saw from our figures at the end
This
of
past year.
yeah, although a lot of that was COVID related, and we have addressed that a bit on your stream. But they just have to be clever going forward. Sadly, they would have been well in the running for Haaland had they not purchased Lukaku. Maybe even Mbappe, who knows? But the truth of the matter is we are where we are, and the solution is going to be a difficult one. Sorry to cut you short.
It is already a difficult one, if you ask me. And again, go ahead, Bobby, if you're still talking.
No, thank you.
So overall for you, Bobby, before I go to Stav, the system isn't the issue. The system isn't why he's struggling. Okay, Stav, coming back to you, Stav. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, Stav, I want clarity from you, your answer, because I know how much you don't like the system. I understand, and you have good reasons for that. For instance, you have questions: why do we play 2 6s when we play 3 at the back? When a single 6 will suffice, and then we'll have an extra individual in the attacking area. But that is, by the way, Stav. The question is the system the reason why Lukaku is struggling? But I'll go to a follow-up. I have a follow-up question for you in terms of Lukaku. Is the system the reason Lukaku is struggling, or is it Lukaku's own fault? Remember, again, I'm going to repeat myself. He started very well, and had he continued scoring goals in all the games that he's played, finished some, chances he missed, some sitters that he's missed, and some poor touches we've seen, we wouldn't be talking about this. So, but after that, we're going to why did we even decide buying Lukaku when you could argue even Broja. Yeah, I remember you talking about keeping Broja. So, Stav, is the issue the system or is the issue Lukaku?
Okay. Right. I'll start off with a statement by Thomas Tuchel in his press conference before the Brighton game. Yeah. He was asked a question, and his answer was, "I am not changing the system to accommodate Lukaku." Okay, which means that even Tuchel, in some way,
can we phrase it correctly the way he phrased it? I think he said something like this. Correct me if I'm wrong, Stav. And you know I like fighting with you, my friend. He said something like, he's not going to go into the process of building the team around a single individual, that we're a team. Wasn't that what he said?
I don't know. I didn't say it. I can only go on what I've read. Right?
Okay, go ahead.
What I read was,
but to me, that's what he said, because I watched the presser.
Well, it's
ahead.
pretty much the same thing, isn't it? When you take into account
that's a difference. That's a difference. Here's where you're not going to win this fight, Stav. Let me make it clear to you. Here's the thing, Stav. Are you with me? Now, before I continue, Tobago, welcome to the stream, my brother. Now, here's the thing. If we build a team around a single individual, because that's what people are asking right now, when that individual underperforms, the whole team underperforms. But if we have a team like we did in the absence of Lukaku when he got injured, the goals were coming from everywhere. The goals were coming from the defense, the midfield, and from those guys on the flanks. But the moment Lukaku is on the pitch, I think we've actually tried to build the team around him, because the moment he's on the pitch, it just seemed as if the primary role of Ben Chilwell, Marcos Alonso, or Callum Hudson-Odoi, or Mason Mount, or Reece James will be to find Lukaku in the box. But in his absence, they were all making inverted runs everywhere. They were scoring great goals. We were so fluid. And we won the Champions League without Lukaku. So, but that is, by the way, so my point is that why create a team around a single individual? Why you should have a team, a unit, a team that performs as a unit so that the goals can come from everywhere. Yes, Lukaku as a point man in some cases will be needed, but I don't think he works in every case for us. So go ahead, Stab.
No, that's about go.
Sorry?
Okay. I've been telling my friends so long that the teams
Yes.
are really getting used to our system. I think eventually, sooner or better, we needed to change our system, not for Lukaku, for most of our taking
so
players.
now you're coming on to join. Sorry, Tobago, you're coming on to join staff to fight me. Go ahead.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not fighting.
It's not
No,
confrontational.
no, I'm saying.
You need to change that word, fighting. You need
No,
to change
right
that
now
word,
I'm saying right now,
Yes.
Lukaku is not the only problem. All of our attackers are not scoring goals, are not doing anything. So, like, I think now the manager need to find a system or a tactical way so that our players, our attacking players, can be more influenced. Because, like, now we're depending on Chilwell and Rhys James. They're not there anymore. So I think now, as soon as Chilwell and James were not there, I think the manager needed to switch something so that our attacking players can score goals for us. Because, like, now, if you can check Odeo's stats for 4 seasons, 4 goals. If you can check for Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, Lukaku, all of them, they are not contributing enough. So now I think our manager need to create a system or a tactical way for our attackers to give us goals. Like, for example, William, Pedro, Marta, Oscar, they were scoring goals for far. So now we have a promising attacking players, but they're not doing anything.
Yeah, I think Tobago, I understand your argument quite well. We're struggling in every department except for the defensive area. That's the only place you could argue that we're fine. I think I'm seeing some very, very interesting inputs in the chat, and we will start at this point, we will let the chat drive the conversation. So I'll start with this one here. But Tobago, I understand your argument. We're struggling in every department except for the considered goals, but not too many goals. It's usually a single goals or so.
So you don't want to let me argue with you then?
Go ahead. Stab, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you not hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, you want it? Okay, yeah. Crystal clear, brother. You wanted to say something?
Who? Me?
Okay, so now let's continue. Looks like stop. Yeah, I was asking if you wanted to say something about what Tobago said about our attackers struggling and the manager changing system.
Well, you asked me a question, right? And you wanted me to argue with you, so I'm going to argue with you. Okay? Yeah. At the beginning of the season, right?
Bring on the fight, Stav. Bring on the fight.
You opened the door, right? So don't try slamming it while I'm talking, right? At the beginning of the season, right, Alonso knew he had to fight Chilwell, yeah, for that position. So he was performing better. Okay? He had Rhys James on the other side, so we had width. Okay? We had width. The width was providing the opportunity that Lukaku took in front of goal. Not on the halfway line, not halfway into the opposition's half, in front of goal. Opportunities created from the width. That width has now gone. Okay? Rhys James is back in training. We may get
because
that again.
We don't have two of our best wing backs.
Yeah. So the width has gone. So sorry, it's not about accommodating Lukaku, right? It's about providing the width to create the opportunities in front of the goal. Now, unlike you, right, I don't count goals from corners, things like that, right, free kicks and all that, right?
So you don't count what you broke up there. You said you don't count something.
Yeah, I don't put as much into goals from corners and set pieces, right? It's the goals we get from open play that I look at, right? Anything can happen from set pieces, yeah? So I look at goals from open play. And we were scoring goals from open play because we had the wing backs, okay? Right? Now we don't have them now. So change the system. Go with wingers, 2 wingers. Take people on, right? Get down the bar line.
Here's where I agree with you on that side. Here's where I agree. Right? You've convinced me otherwise in terms of changing the system, Stav. We don't have the wing backs because that play is heavily reliant on wing backs, the 3 at the back system. Yes. We don't have them now. So there's the need. I'll come back to you, Stav. There's a need to change the system so that we can, because we've tried 4 at the back due to the absence of those wing backs, our best wing backs, and it worked quite well. So Stav, go ahead, continue. I'll come back to you, my brother.
It worked quite well with weakened defences, as well. Right, we had to play Rudiger on the right-hand side once. We had to play. We played Hall. Right, we played Sarr. So it wasn't even a full-strength defence. Right, and we still. And the reason that the defence wasn't threatened wasn't anything to do with 2 sixers. It was to do with those playing players in the positions that they used to, dominating the game, quick pass and move, right? 1-2 touch, moving the ball around quickly. You had Saul, who's in midfield. Now, his normal game is attacking midfield. It's the same thing with Mason Mount, and it's the same thing with Havertz. Havertz is not a false 9, and he's not a striker. He played as a striker in emergencies for Bayer Leverkusen, but his natural role is an attacking mid, like Lampard, right? And we play so many players out of position that they're not comfortable in. They're trying to accommodate the manager and his system, right? And they want to play, so they get on with it. But if we have no width and all the players down the middle, it's easier to defend against, right? You have to have the width to drag defenders out and open spaces and channels in behind their defence and to allow players to get through, right? This is why when you've got Mason Mount, he goes in, right, in front of a defence, and that's why he keeps trying that turn, because he's trying to turn in and behind the defence. The goal he scored against West Ham, I think it was, right? The ball was played out by Kante, if I remember right.
Yes.
Yeah, to Mount, who was in a wide position, right? Not too wide, but wide of the defence. So he's come in with the ball, cut in behind the defender, and he's got in on goal, and he's had a free shot at goal. Nobody picking him up, right? This is what happens when you play with width. If you ain't got the wing backs, you have to use your wingers in the correct position, right? And we're not doing that. There are too many players playing in uncomfortable positions, right? If you're playing against a team that's defending deep and in numbers, going down the middle is the thing they want you to do. They don't want to be pulled out. They don't want to leave spaces in front of you, right? Yeah. And that's when Lukaku, that's when Mount, that's when Havertz benefit, right, and progress, right? If you watch, we know that Eden Hazard was a special talent, right? But predominantly, his attack started out from wide, and he would get that, and he was unselfish, right? He didn't just want to score; he wanted to create as well, right? And he would go wide, get to the byline, put the ball in the 6-yard box, because that's the danger area. That's where defenders hate the ball. If you're playing the ball tippy-tappy in front of the defence, right, they love that. They love it. It's easy, right? You have to get the ball in the danger. And that's what we did. One last thing. And that's what we did against Tottenham, and their defenders crumbled. They panicked, right? That deflected goal, where I can't remember who it was, headed the ball onto his own player and it went in. If he didn't hit that ball, right, and it was there, right, that ball was going to Havertz on the back post in behind the defence. We have to have width. If you play centrally all the time, it's easy to defend. And then if you play narrow, it's easier to counter against you as well. Because they'll use those spaces to get in behind you, right? Now,
can I say something?
I'm saying one last thing.
Let him finish. Let him finish, then you talk, Tobago. Sorry. Go ahead, Staff.
Tobago
is waiting to say something. And after Tobago comes in, we'll let the chat from Street Beer's comment about Ousmane Dembele. We're going to switch straight up to the transfers segment of the show. Go ahead, Staff.
Yeah, I'll say one last thing, right? I've said this to you. I've said it in other streams. I've said it on Twitter and things like that with Max Burton and people like that, right? One last thing. No club lets managers pick 4 or 5 players to sign, right? They give them 1, maybe 2, and then they're expected, once they've had that 1 or 2 players, to use them, right? And whatever they've got available. Who is Carlo Ancelotti being given at Real Madrid? Who? Nobody. He has to play with that squad, right? He has to adapt. Ten Hag, right, at Ajax, right, is going for his 3rd or 4th title as manager, right? And he doesn't get a single player he picks. The players are bought by the club through Mark Overmars and Van der Sar. One point about what Bobby said, yeah? Forget the board. It's the recruitment department that matters, yeah? That's what matters. Forget the board. They don't buy it. Ajax, Bayern Munich, they have ex-players doing the recruitment, right? And then the board either sanction it or they don't sanction it, right? But, right, Mark Overmars and Van der Sar at Ajax, right? Yeah, the German ones, they used to have Beckenbauer, now that's changed, they've got other ex-players. At Chelsea, he mentioned Petr Cech, Bobby, right? Yeah? About football people. Who was it who discovered Mendy? Lollichon. Petr Cech's goalkeeping coach when Petr first came to the club. That's a football person. Who is the general manager, right? Claude Makelele. Yeah? Who is also at the club? Ashley Cole. Right? And now John Terry's there. John Terry's gone there for the academy. I don't think there's any harm in Thomas Tuchel saying to John Terry, on match days, I would like you on the bench with me in case you see something I don't. Yeah? All the top managers have to adapt to their squad and use their squad in their best position.
All right. We'll come. Yes, like I said, I agree with you on the aspect that we have our best wing backs out injured. So I think that is to switch up systems like he's shown, like he did against Tottenham, and it worked, would be great. But that's, by the way, I will come back to you with an important question about Lukaku. Go ahead, Tobago, you wanted to say something. Thank you very much, Steph, for that great input.
Okay, I want to add what Steph was saying. Ne? I think we have a lot of attacking players, and then we can utilize them. Like, for example, if we play, I can have it. It's like a number 10. It's a creative midfield. So if like we play a 4-4-2 diamond, is behind Lukaku and Werner, who have whatever we say, or Mount also can play as a number 10. It's a creative play. But now, as Steph was saying, most of the players are playing out of position. Maybe Tuchel use that formation in order the team not conceding a lot of goals, because last season under Lampard we were struggling. Like we were conceding a lot of goals, even though we were winning, but we were conceding a lot of goals. But
yeah, but you cannot always outscore oppositions. Go ahead.
Yes, but now I think we have the most talented players. Like if we can get a suitable formation for them, but at the same time, it's not easy during the season, because like the players already know their system 3-4-3. So I think and we have to get rid of some other players. For example, Jorginho can't play alone, and Kante is a good player, but he's on and off. Sometimes he's playing on fire, and then other time got injured. So I think we have to buy a DM who can play alone there, so that he can do all the dirty work. For example, Michael Essien was doing, and then you can depend on our attacking players and the back four. I think that will work, but for now it's not easy because it's during the season. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Neither Makaleli.
Yeah. Okay. Now, looks like we lost Tobago. Stav, I'm coming to a very
I'm here.
important.
I'm here.
Okay. Go ahead. Okay. Oh, go ahead.
No,
You done with your thoughts? But I understand your point. Go
Can I
ahead,
just
Tobago.
Yes, I'm done. I'm done, actually.
Okay. Yeah. You wanted to say something, Stav, quickly before I wanted to look at
I just want to answer the comment that Ty made regarding Tuchel needing somebody with Premier League experience. Hence, hence my comment about John Terry. Right, John Terry can work with the academy during the week, but on match days, have him on the bench. Have him on the bench. Look at how Villa went down the minute John Terry left. Look at Villa lots of form the minute John Terry left. Right, we had Steve Holland. Right, we've had Steve Clark, Ray Wilkins. Right, every manager prior to Tuchel, right, had somebody on that bench with them. Yeah, and it's only since Steve Holland left that basically, I mean, even Lampard, right? He had Jody Morris as his number 2. Yeah, but without being disrespectful, that's not Jody Morris is not a top line coach. You've got to have someone who's had some coaching experience. John Terry's got that by working with Dean Smith. His input helped Aston Villa and Dean Smith. Yeah. Right? Ray Wilkins, experience. Steve Clark, experience. And the coach as well. Yeah? Right? So, yeah, I agree with Ty. And that's why I made the point about having John Terry on the bench on a Saturday. Right? Lampard didn't do that. Right? And I might upset people by saying this because he has a massive ego. He didn't want anybody who was a name to pull away from what he was going to get plaudit-wise. And I just want to answer one other thing that Tobago said, right, about us conceding a lot of goals under Lampard. That's because Lampard doesn't have a defensive bone in his body, right? No acumen to defend. That's why Anthony Barry was brought in, right? Because he did his coaching badges with Lampard and Morris, but he's more defensive. Yeah. So Tuchel's come in, right? I remember that I've said this somewhere else, right? I remember that in his first interview, he said he'd spoken to people at the training ground who'd been working at Chelsea, right? Which I'm assuming is Anthony Barry and the other, I can't remember his name, he's an ex-Chelsea academy player who was on Lampard's coaching staff and a few others, right? And he probably got the idea that we can't defend in a 4 from them because of Lampard's record. Yeah? Right? He then got these same players that Lampard couldn't get to work defensively working, right? But he had this thing ingrained in his mind that we can't play in a 4. Don't know where he got that from. He didn't just come to the club and instantly decide we can't play in a 4. Somebody must have put that into his mind, right? You said yourself against Tottenham, with weakened defences, both games, right? We handled Tottenham with very little bother, yeah? Except for the second half at our place when they had to go for it and they had no choice, yeah, right? But with weakened defences, we played 4 at the back. These are all, apart from Chalobah, internationals who play in 4s for their national teams. yeah, right? Aspilicueta plays right back. Alonso plays left back, not wing backs, full backs, yeah, right? Aspilicueta, if he sits and stays and plays with using his footballing brain and not necessarily have to attack, right, all the time as a wing back, he's solid, right? Same with Alonso on the other side, although he does seem to drift in and out of games mentally, right? Like he did against Liverpool when he left Salah, right? We can play for the back. If Tuchel is the coach that we all think he
Sam,
is, we can.
But go ahead if you haven't rounded off yet. Yeah, go ahead if you haven't rounded up, because I want us to switch to the next sections because we've come to 52nd minute of the show. No, go ahead if you're not done.
No, I'm done. Switch up to the transfers because I know what's coming.
Okay.
Dembele. Dembele, yeah?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, Dembele. I would love to share, let me share a video I made about Dembele. Let me share a video I made about Dembele, why I think the club shouldn't sign him. I think it's important we get the context fully regarding my argument. I'm going to find it right now. Just give me a few seconds, guys. I have this guy here. Okay, documents. All right. Transfers. Tobago, are you still there with us?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to try and share the Dembele video so we get the context straight. Chelsea fans did not want the club to sign Antoine Griezmann because of his salary and also because of the accusations that he is racist. But all of a sudden, they want the club to sign Ousmane Dembele, not minding his salary demands or not minding whether he's racist or not. So I am kind of confused here because something doesn't seem right. Follow me and let's talk about it. Before we continue, please do me a tiny bitty favor. Let me try and see if I can skip it. The question whether Ousmane Dembele is a good player. Yes, Dembele is a fine player. Has he played under Thomas Tuchel and did he do well under Thomas Tuchel? Yes, he's played under Thomas Tuchel and he did quite well under Thomas Tuchel. But the truth is there are factors that you must consider before signing a player. You look at things from a business perspective. You look at the player's behavior, reputation, if you like. You look at the player's salary also. Those things are very important. So you don't just write a check and sign a player and then find out that it will not work for you. And in the Chelsea community, there's been rumors that Thomas Tuchel wants him. I don't know how truthful that is. Even if Thomas Tuchel wants him, there are factors that I think that when you look at them, it will not make sense for Chelsea Football Club to sign Ousmane Dembele. So let's take some time and look at those factors. And then at the end of this video, you tell me whether it will make sense for Chelsea to sign him. Currently, Dembele earns around £287,000 weekly, which is a huge weekly salary for a player at his age, and he's still in his early 20s. By the time we'll start talking about renewing his contract, he'll be asking for around 300 plus in weekly salaries. And plus, he's telling Barcelona he wants around, I think it's 66 point something million euros or pounds. I'm not sure the currency salary package for him to stay. So I don't think Chelsea, for the reason of his salary demands and for the reason of how much he earns currently, would want to sign Ousmane Dembele. And the second reason I don't think Chelsea would want to sign Ousmane Dembele is his behavior. Ousmane Dembele is known to break camp rules, arrive to training late, while for some reasons I'm not sure are true, but the truth is it's been on record that he is not disciplined enough and always causing issues for the manager. And that's another reason I don't think Chelsea will sign him. Chelsea is not a club that is known to sign players who will become a problem for the manager and not be a good example for the dressing room. So for his behavior, I don't think the club would be looking to sign Ousmane Dembele. And another reason is Ousmane Dembele is injury. I hope we're following the video because it will drive the conversation for Barcelona. And there's hardly a time, there's a stretch of period where he's injury free, and that Barcelona at this point is not even sure when he will return to full training. That shows you how much of a problem it will be for Chelsea to sign Ousmane Dembele, because there's no guarantee he will be fit when needed. He's always injured at one point or the other. And another reason I think Chelsea Football Club will not be looking to sign Ousmane Dembele is the racism row. The racism row that the video circulated a while ago showing Ousmane Dembele and Antoine Griezmann making fun of Asian men in their hotel room to help them fix the video game that they were playing or something like that. So if Chelsea fans did not want the club to sign Antoine Griezmann because they believe he's racist based on what was shown on the video, then why are we all of a sudden, why do we want the club to sign Ousmane Dembele? Ousmane Dembele, given the video, is the chief racist officer, if you ask me, because he did all the talking in that video, while the only thing Antoine Griezmann did was laugh. So if Antoine Griezmann, if the club refuses to sign Antoine Griezmann because they believe he's racist based on the content of that video, then I don't think it will make sense for the club to even consider signing Ousmane Dembele, because like I've mentioned, if anything, he's the chief racist officer in that video because he did all the talking while Antoine Griezmann laughed. Now, another factor is this business first. We must remember, no matter how we see it, Chelsea Football Club is a business. They must make money to be able to sign players, to be able to pay the players, to be able, to keep the club going. So business comes first. Business decisions, they make decisions based on whether the player they're signing will benefit the club financially, help the club win trophies. So, but it's not all about trophies. It's whether they will gain anything from having the player at the club. Now, yes, where that comes in, there are lots of big corporations in Asia, in places such as Japan and Korea and other Asian countries that are always looking to sponsor big clubs such as Chelsea Football Club. So should Chelsea sign Ousmane Dembele, they'd have to tell us, potential sponsors why they signed him. And I don't think it is something that can be easily explained away if you're talking to a business or a corporation in an Asian nation, because there's a trend right now about racism against the Asian individuals. So I think the Ousmane Dembele incident happened at the time where there's so much where there is so much discrimination against Asian people. So I don't think the club would risk that PR nightmare to try to explain why they looked beyond Dembele's behavior. I'm not talking about his behavior in terms of arriving to training sessions late. His behavior in that video, as depicted in that, as shown in that video. So I don't think Chelsea would want such nightmare. So given these points, I don't think Chelsea would even consider signing Ousmane Dembele. If they do, I will be surprised, because that will always raise a question that will become a dent in the club's in the club's record. Because Chelsea is a club that's against racism, a club against discrimination of all sorts. So I don't think the club will risk it. So you get in the comment section. So now, Stav and Tobago, I hope you guys are still there. So we're coming back to it now. So I'll start with you, Tobago, and I'll go with Stav. I know his opinion already, but I wanted to make it public. Do you think signing Ousmane Dembele will be a good idea for the club? Because the truth is, Chelsea do have business connections in Asian countries. Samsung have sponsored Chelsea before. There's also, what's the other one? The tires, Yokohama. Is that what it's called? I don't know if that's correct. I think it's Yokohama Tires. It's an Asian company. Exactly. So there are big corporations there that would be that's always looking to sponsor Premier League clubs or big clubs such as Chelsea. So with such incident, I don't think they take it lightly, because globally right now, there's a lot of hate against Asian individuals. And that Ousmane Dembele incident happened at the time where, we're seeing a lot of hate against Asian individuals. So now, I don't think the club will risk it, because it shows you didn't care about what happened. And the apology, if you ask me, that Ousmane Dembele tendered, this might not, believe me, I agree that this may have been actually an honest mistake. He was just joking. He's just a kid. But the truth is, you don't behave like that when you're in the public eye. So I want to get your thoughts on the talks that Chelsea are looking to sign Ousmane Dembele. Do you even think that it is true?
Actually, it's true because it's available. But from my own opinion, I don't think it's a good business to do. Firstly, his salary is huge. So, for example, if you sign Dembele at Barcelona, is earning a lot. For example, if we sign him, and then obviously he needs a salary increase, maybe 300k or 350 per week more. And then what message are we sending to Rudiger, Christensen? And then the other problem with Dembele, he has a lot of injuries. In a season, he can play less than 10 games. He played for 2 games. He go out for injury for 2 to 3 months. The same thing is keeping happening on Barcelona. So my question is, why should we sign Dembele while we have a player like that? Pulisic also have the same problem. If we have Pulisic and Dembele, maybe they are best players, but we can't use them all of the time. So what will happen to our club? So I don't think it's a good idea of signing him. But the other thing, we're complaining about begging the manager. What if Tuchel really, really wants him? So what will we do as a Chelsea fans? If Tuchel wants
Here's the thing. You just said something that I wanted to hear somebody say. What if Tuchel really, really wants him? It's a good question. But here's the thing. That doesn't trump the club's reputation. It doesn't trump the club's business connection, because remember, first, you have to consider a Chelsea Football Club, no matter how you see it, is a business. Roman didn't just buy Chelsea to keep spending money on and on and on and on, and then helping them circumvent when there's a loss, or when they need money, or they want to buy some players or something like. He's not going to do that forever. He expects to make some gain. He's a businessman after all. So if we're going through the path of saying, yeah, Dembele, Thomas Tuchel really, really wants him, I don't think that trumps the reputation of the club. That doesn't trump the business connections of the club, like we've established. Chelsea, again, I'm sounding like a broken record now. It's a business, first of all, before anything else. Forget the owner's love for football.
Yeah.
So signing Dembele doesn't look good on paper, given his behavior. Even though he isn't that on that Thomas Tuchel, he wasn't that bad. Then what changed? He's gotten older since the last time he worked with Thomas Tuchel, so he should be a better person right now. But actually, he's not.
He must be matured.
Exactly. So the racism role, his salary is an issue. if you sign him now, he's just I think 24, 25 or so, and start him at 250 because I don't see him dropping down to around 100 plus salary. He's not at he earns right now 288. Then by the time the time comes around to renew his contract, you're in for the trouble. Most especially if he does very well, then you have to be talking about 300K plus a week, and that will destroy Chelsea's salary structure. Thank you very much for that information, Stribia, and cause a lot of problems in the dressing room. So, but I get your point. It's something that doesn't make sense to me in every sense, in so many ways. Yes, there's an argument that he isn't racist. He might not be, but once you're in the public eye, once you make such a mistake, it's not something you can explain away. It's not something that can be swept under the rug easily. It will haunt you forever. It will always come up. So coming to you, Stav, thank you very much for that input, by the way, Tavago. Coming to you, Stav, what do you think about the suggestion that we should sign Ousmane Dembele? And it looks like, according to, if you believe the rumors, that the club are looking at him.
Firstly, I don't really take much notice of the media because we would have signed like 100 players in the last two transfer windows.
Yeah, that is correct.
So I'll address Dembele, right? I'll address quickly the racist aspect as you brought it up, yeah? Right. I believe Yokohama are still secondary partner, so they still have some involvement.
Oh, they're still Chelsea's secondary partner.
Yeah, they're still one of the secondary partners.
Excellent.
Chelsea.
1 second, Stav. 1 second. You just made a great point there. So if you're in the chart and you're hearing this, Yokohama is actually still Chelsea's secondary partner, and they still remember when that issue happened. Rakuten, which is Barcelona's one of Barcelona's top sponsors, they talked. They said something. They did not keep quiet. They asked questions. Why is this happening? That's probably what pushed Barcelona to release the video, made it public, and that's probably why they didn't take it seriously, renewing the contract of such a. Maybe I know they're in financial distress, but one of the reasons why they didn't want to renew the contract of Antoine Griezmann and Ousmane Dembele. So, but you go ahead, Stav. Thank you for pointing that out.
All right. Another aspect is that we have quite a big support in Southeast Asia, right? So there's that aspect too, and the third aspect is that the deal with three isn't a long-term one. I think it's 3 seasons, right? So they're going to be looking for another sponsor, and you got to look to where the money is, and that's Southeast Asia and China, yeah, right. So that has to be considered too, because of the stadium size. We have to compete with other clubs by getting better sponsor deals than they do, better kit deals, etc., etc. That's why they paid themselves out of the Umbro. That's why they paid themselves out of the Adidas, because each one subsequently was going to be bigger and better, right? So it does have an issue with the racist aspect that you took. Now I'll move on to the player himself.
Okay, can you say clearly? Do you think that will affect the club's business connections in Asian countries? Do you think the club will even consider signing him, given that behavior was against Asian individuals? So, do you think the club will still, for any reason, consider signing even if Thomas Tuchel wants him? Do you think the club will still consider signing Ousmane Dembele, given his behavior against Asian men? You go ahead.
You were cutting up again.
Now I was saying, yeah, we've established
I heard the question, but it was sort of digitized. Yeah, I don't know if it's your microphone or what. Anyway, right, I don't want to say any more on that aspect, right? It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense from that point of view. Yeah. The other one is, right, is he's predominantly a wide man. Yeah. Right. So, yes, he worked with him, right? But he also worked with Pulisic. Where is he going to play him? Where is he going to play him if he persists with that system. Where's he going to play him? Does he see him as another false 9? Does he see him as a 10? Where's he going to play him? Again, you're taking a man whose game is based on pace and taking people on, yeah, and getting in behind defences, and you want to play him in a 10. My main bugbear with our system is it's too centralised if you haven't got the wing backs. Yeah, that's my main issue. And Premier League defenses love the play to be central. They love to close the spaces down. If you're not using the width, that means you could be going in towards 8, 9 defenders, plus your number 10, or your 2 10s, however you want to play, plus your striker or false 9. So they're trying to weave a ball through and get in behind that defence. The only way you can do that is by having width as well. Yep. Now, you can get that width with the players we've got by utilising them to the strength, i.e. Pulisic, Ziyech, all that lot. Yeah, you can get that width too, right? I believe that the reason he goes with the 2 wing backs, yeah, is because it gives him width, but it also solidifies the defence. To all intents and purposes, right, yeah, we're defending with a 7-man defence because they're defenders when we're out of possession, right? So that's like 7-man defence. And at home, for certain games, when teams are sitting deep, you don't need 2 pivots and you need the width because teams will just sit in the middle and close your spaces down, right? That's why Hazard flourished, because he could play outside, right, and was capable of coming in. I don't know anybody who saw his goal the other night. The ball was played to him wide, yeah, and he buried it from a wide position. Mason Mount has twice scored, right, in successive games by coming in from wide position and the ball coming from the width played into him, except the one from I mentioned earlier where Kante played the ball out wide and he's coming behind the defence. You need to find ways of getting behind defence. We haven't got a Messi, right? We haven't got the players that Barcelona had with this ticky-tacky football, right? And that's Spain. That's where defences aren't playing down the middle, trying to suffocate you. We haven't got them players, right? So this ticky-tacky rubbish down the middle isn't going to work. If you look, Tuchel's been in charge 66 games. I looked it up this morning, right, in total over the last year. Yeah, he's been in charge of 66 games. He's won 36, but we failed to win 30 times. Not all defeats, but draws. Right? I looked at his record at Dortmund. A lot of draws. That's why he couldn't win a league. Right? I don't know what system he played at Dortmund, but it was the same thing again, right? Same thing at Mainz. He got a lot of draws, right? And he didn't win the second division with Mainz, right? If he got them promoted, he got them promoted in second or third, however many positions get promoted, right?
I get your point, Stav. Now let's switch up. I think you made great.
I don't see the point of Dembele because he's predominantly wide. He's injury prone, right? What are you going to do?
And again,
and get rid of Pulisic, who's likely to be on a low wage.
I don't even think the club. Go ahead.
Doesn't matter what the club.
Yeah,
I don't
even think the club will.
If Tuchel's not going to use him and use him in his correct position, the club are going to think, "What's the point of having him?" Right? May as well get some money back.
Again, my argument is this: I don't even think the club will look beyond his behavior. That's the thing. I don't think the club will look beyond his behavior because, if you remember, I said Rakuten also asked Barcelona questions.
Yeah, I accept what you said. Yeah, I accept what you said.
Yes, they will not look beyond his behavior. If they do, I will be surprised.
Right. The difference is, you're grounded, yeah? You're sensible, yeah?
Yeah.
other people are going to say, "Oh, well, he wanted Dembele. We didn't get him. They're not giving him the players he wants, etc., 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 etc." Yeah, right. There's people on agendas who want to attack the board or whatever. Right, the board is what it is because Roman trusts them. Yeah, the more important aspect is the recruitment below the board, right? And whether the board and Roman trust them. I believe they trust Petr Cech, right? Yeah. I believe that they trust Makelele, and I believe that they trust JT. Otherwise, they wouldn't have brought him back in some capacity, right? And I believe they trust Ashley Cole, right? Ashley Cole's now working with England as well, not just Chelsea, right? And the younger age groups, under 21s, I think, right? That, to me, and Lolly-Chon, right, knows the French game inside out, yep, has contacts, which we use to get Mendy. So it's not always, the manager's not always right, is he? Right? Jose Mourinho bought Mattia Kezman, right, based on the fact that he scored a lot of goals in Holland, but basically...
No, he's a human being. There's no way he's always...
No, I'm not criticizing. I like Kezman, right? I saw him playing for PSV,
no way he's
right? But
always right, but I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you, Stav.
Yeah. Go on then.
Go ahead.
You're going to say something. Yeah, right. A manager's not infallible. They don't always... Even Ferguson made bad signings, right? I just don't see that, right? Ferguson, he was lucky that he had that class of 92, the 5 young lads or whatever, the Nevilles, etc., etc. Even Lee Sharp was a signing. He wasn't one of the class of 92. He was bought, yeah? He was bought young and he was thrown in there. And they built the spine around them and Schmeichel and Roy Keane, right? But once they built that spine and they built up the squad, Ferguson would only get 1 or 2 players per season, yeah? Nobody has more money than Man United except Newcastle. But the difference between Newcastle and Man United is their money is club generated, so they can spend what they want, right, and comply with FFP because they're generating that money. Yeah, they've got the biggest worldwide fan base. They've got the biggest sponsor deals. They've got a 75,000 capacity. Yeah, right. So they're generating that money, so they can spend that money. We have to generate the money we spend. So sometimes you just have to get on with it and use the players you got, right? You know what I think of Ziyech. You know what I think of Pulisic, right?
Yeah.
I think
let's because we're running out of time. But I understand your point. Let's make that another discussion.
Bringing people like Dembele in,
yes, I
when he's no better than what we've already got.
True. I think you make a great point. I don't see the point of bringing Ousmane Dembele if he's not going to get the chance to operate where he suits him in a position that suits him well. And also, I've argued that I don't think the club will look beyond his behavior because it's a huge risk and it will be a serious dent on the club's reputation because Chelsea is known for the fight against anti-Semitism and discrimination of all sorts. So bringing in Ousmane Dembele will ask questions on their, decision, on that decision. So now the question is, let's let the chat drive the conversation right now. Coming to you, Tobago. I don't know if you know about Anthony Barry. Barry is still part of the coaching staff. I know staff talked about Thomas Tuchel bringing in somebody that knows the Premier League very well. What's his name? Ty also said that in the chat. And before I continue, I'd like to recognize the president of CSC Jam. I don't know if he's still there. And also my brother and friend Green Turf, Orgs from Green Turf. Thank you guys for finding time to, stopping by. Let me put it that way. So coming to you, Tobago, what do you think? Tuchel needs someone who understands the Premier League as an assistant as well. I'd argue against that. That's not really a factor that decides how the team performs, if you ask me. How about Anthony Barry? He's been part of the team setup and probably the reason why we're doing well defensively. If you ask me, I'm not really quite sure. I'm just That's just my opinion. What do you think, Tobago?
To be honest, I think last summer we saw so much talent, and then we focus on getting a striker. And even though we're linked with Kundes, and then we sold Zuma, we end up not getting Kunde. So I think the difference between Chelsea now and Man City is because like Man City in each and every position, whether Kyle Walker is not available, who's that? Cancelo can play there, and then even in the middle, no Fernandinho, Rodri can play there. So the problem with Chelsea is like we focus too much on Rhys James and then Chilwell, and then that's the main players for Thomas Tuchel, and then we didn't get backups for those players because, like, for example, you can't tell me Azpilicueta is a backup for James because Azpilicueta is good on defending, but going forward is doing nothing. And then also on Alonso is playing.
He's practically useless going forward.
Yeah, it's on and off. So, like, for example, the Chelsea board should have already know what Tuchel really likes because, like, he was playing 3-4-3, for example, or 3-5-2, whatever. So we needed a backup for Chilwell and backup for James, and then we let Livramento go, and then Dujon Sterling go, and then we let Emerson go. And then we end up, unfortunately.
Here's the thing. Tobago, I'm going to let you, I will let you continue. Here's the thing. I just want to make a point here. Livramento leaving the club and some other youth, our academy products that left. It's I think I'm sure in terms of the case of Livramento, it wasn't the club's choice. He wanted to leave. He wanted to be starting games.
Yes.
Exactly. And if you force them to stay, they will run down their contract and leave on a free. So it's a risk. That you need to be careful how you approach. Exactly. You can't force them to stay, or else you lose everything. So now the club has adapted to to letting them go, insert clauses in their contract so that they be able to sign them back if they do well. So I don't think I don't think it's really entirely up to the club whether they leave or stay. And I think Tuchel himself said something about, I forgot who said that the club wanted Livramento to stay, but he wanted to be starting game week in, week out, and that's not possible given Rhys James and Azpilicueta. So yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, it was.
But okay, you can go, Steph.
No, it was Tuchel who said that the club tried everything to stop Livramento. Can I just clarify something?
Yes.
You're correct to a point.
Thank you for that.
Right, but basically they were out of contract and they didn't want to re-sign another contract. They had 2 months left, whatever. Yeah, right, and they refused to sign.
You're really breaking up, Stav.
They were out of contract.
Get them to stay.
Approaching the end, they tried to get them to sign other contracts. Yeah.
You go ahead. It looks like I lost.
Right.
No, he's still here.
Okay, it looks like I lost.
I'm still here.
Can you still hear me, Stav?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So let's now. Yeah. So go ahead. You were. I don't know if you're done, Tobago, so that we can read.
No, I'm not
talk
done.
about MCIG. Welcome to the stream. Go ahead.
I'm not done. And then
go ahead.
But go on.
No. Okay, let me continue.
Basically, they wanted to go. I'll even name them for you. Livramento was one. Yeah.
Limty.
Gui was sold, right, because he didn't want to stay. Right. Matthew Bates, who played for Leeds the other day at West Ham, right. Simao, who's a central defender, I think he's gone to Brighton, right.
McGahey.
And They were basically out of contract, right? And what we got was training fees because we produced them and we trained them. So we got 5 million for Livramento as a training fee because of his abilities, right? It was the same thing with Lamptey. He was out of contract. He wanted to go, and the fee we got from Brighton was the training fee. It's the same way that we paid Exeter City for Ampadu. Yeah. Now there you've got a player who could have filled in various roles, and Tuchel let him go, and it was Tuchel who let Broja go, right? So the club can't be blamed for every departure. Yeah, it's as simple as that, right? So this is why I'm saying no coach is infallible. They make mistakes, right? Broja was told that if he came back, right, from Vitesse, signed a new deal, he would be added to the squad, right? So that's what he was expecting to happen. But Tuchel decided no. Gallagher, right, openly talked in the press before he went to Crystal Palace that he was expecting to be in the squad. And what he said was he would see come January how things were going, then he might have to rethink. Now, whether Tuchel didn't like that, I don't know. But I believe it's Tuchel who sent him out as well. The only person who left, who was still in the squad, who wanted to go, was Billy Gilmore. And that's backfired on him, right? That's backfired on him. But I still think Tuchel should have tried to talk him into staying, right? Togogo is right. We do need a DM, right, in the mould of Makelele. I believe Leicester have one. I can't remember his name. Right?
Ndidi.
Who?
Ndidi.
Yeah.
Ndidi.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
Ndidi.
Yeah,
yes, Ndidi.
Yeah, he sits, right? We need to make signings depending on who leaves from the defence. I'm not really bothered about Christensen because he's agreed a deal. He's agreed a deal twice and then backed out of it. That's lack of commitment. Let him go to Barcelona. I couldn't care less.
Yes, he can go.
And he can't go to Barcelona until they release Dembele because they're under
wage cap
by La Liga, right? Not UEFA.
So now let me cut in there quickly. Let me cut in there quickly, Stav. So since if Barcelona wants him, do you think Chelsea? But still, I'm still gonna say it. I don't think Chelsea will look beyond Dembele's behavior to say, okay, to do any deal with Barcelona. Do you think Chelsea will?
They need to offload him to get Christensen. That's the only aspect of Dembele. They need to lose players.
So that's why I'm saying, do you think Chelsea will say, okay, if you want Christensen now, you can have Christensen now, but they want him on a free. They want him on a free. Do you think Chelsea can say, okay, if you want Christensen now, give us Dembele and take Christensen? Do you think it's possible?
Well, no, because I don't think Barcelona can spend money. They're also being linked to Oscar, who apparently is willing to take he's willing to take a massive pay cut to come to Barcelona. I didn't realise that he's only 28. Right? That slips my memory. That Oscar's only 28. Right? But they need to lose players before they can take players on because they're facing a wage cap, right? From the league, not UEFA. So they can't sign anybody unless they release somebody. Yeah? Yes. And they're after Christensen, and they're still holding out hopes of getting Haaland, which I can't see, because they cannot afford him. They will never stay within the wage cap by having him. Right? He's only going one place. He's going to Real Madrid. Simple as that.
Yes.
He might stop off somewhere for a couple of years until Mino Raiola starts stirring trouble. I don't want Haaland. I don't care how good he is. I'd rather have Vlahovic or whatever his name is, right? And have somebody who's not going to create problems. And there's no guarantee, right? We've seen Werner right? Don't forget, he only slightly finished behind Haaland 2 seasons ago in the scoring stakes, yeah? I don't get carried away with somebody who's played 1 season in the Norwegian League, 1 season in the Austrian League, and 2 seasons in Germany, right? 3 leagues where someone is going to shine, right? Even with a certain amount of ability, yeah? Right? I can see MCIG saying swap Christensen for Dembele. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because I don't want Dembele, right? And they can't have Christensen on a swap. Right? I get what he's saying, that we can swap him and that's 1 out, 1 in. But they want other players as well. I don't think Christensen's their main target. And they're not the only team he's talking to, right? I can see him ending up in Germany, Christensen, right? But I don't care. I don't want Dembele under any circumstances. And I don't care about Christensen because his attitude stinks. He agreed a 5-year deal. Then they dropped it down to 4 because he didn't want a 5-year deal. He agreed that one, and now he's backed out of that one. He has no commitment to the club, right? It's not about money because he was happy with the money to agree twice. Let him go wherever he wants to go, right? And I don't want to use him to get Dembele, right? I don't want him. I don't want Dembele, right? The whole point is we're getting rid of one idiot, i.e. Christensen, with an attitude problem, right? To bring another one in. What's the point? And if someone who is
okay, so now let's...
Yeah,
I understand your argument. I don't think, again, I'm going to argue MCIG. I don't think the swap will happen because the club, for business reasons, for Dembele's behavior, I don't think business reasons which it's aligned, you could say, tied to Dembele's behavior. I don't think the club would look beyond Dembele's behavior because it will affect their business one way or the other. And I don't know how when you join the chat, when you joined the stream, we talked about Dembele's behavior. We talked about the club's connection to Asian businesses such as Yokohama, which is still one of the sponsors of the clubs, although they don't sponsor the shirt anymore. It's based in Southeast Asia or Asian, I don't know what part of the world exactly, but it's in an Asian nation. So I don't think the club will consider signing Dembele again. That's my opinion. If that happens, I will be surprised. I must let you know. So, Stav, let's talk about... start looking at statements. Let's take a few comments in the chat and then we can round up because we're 1 hour, 30 minutes into the stream. I think we should call it a day soon, but let's take some comments in the chat and discuss it. So let's start from here. He says, it's clear that Christensen is not going to renew and Aspi and Rudy are not going to get what they asked for. Alonso, Barkley are not needed. A few forwards are not up to task. Why are we not hitting a hard reset? What do you think? Do you think there's any need for the, overhaul of the squad? Or you think this is overthinking from Sin?
Well, look, right? It's okay we're criticising players who are asked to play out of position, right? Who are not asked to play to their strength. So how can you criticise these players when you've never been given the chance to see them at the height of their strengths, right? So I'm sorry, I can't be dealing with this, get rid of this forward line, stuff like that. I agree with Christensen, I agree with Barkley, I agree with Alonso, right? But I can't be having this criticism, right, of the forward line when they've never been played in their correct positions, where they are comfortable, right? So I can't be going with that. That's a nonsense. I agree with the others, right? Christensen, Alonso, Barkley, right? As regards Rudiger and Aspie, right? I believe that one, if not both, will start again, right? People, right? The Rudiger and Aspie are playing the game to see what they can get offered. Yeah. If you want to believe the media, right, Real Madrid have offered Rudiger less than we have. Barcelona have offered Rudiger less than we did, right? We offered 145, one offered 115, the other one offered 110. People are, just because they're in talks, right, doesn't mean that they're going to get a better deal. I believe that one or both of them will re-sign. Okay? So if one goes, we just need one. We need one or two centre halves to replace them. Bring one of the kids back. Let them play next to whatever, right? Yeah. I just saw the comment regarding Kennedy. Kennedy refused to come, right, and to Europe, and he was sent to Brazil, right, and then he's been recalled, right. Now, I saw another comment from the same guy who said about redoing the forward line, all that stuff. Can't remember his name now, right? He said, "Why does Marina get a free pass?" Right? She gets.
Yeah, this. I'll go back to MCIG's comments. I think it's this one.
Yeah, right. Why is Marina getting a pass? After all, she is much part of the success as our failure. Why is she part of the failure? She does not select the players we buy. She's a negotiator. She negotiates the deal. And she then has to have them okayed by Roman. It was made public, right, that Roman was unhappy with Rudiger because he was putting money ahead of glory, right? Anybody who thinks that the board, any member of the board, has carte blanche to do as they please without going back to Roman is deluded. The guy was selling plastic ducks as a kid and became a billionaire, right? He didn't do that by just leaving everything to the people. You still have to go through Roman, yeah, right? Michael Emenalo was the guy who was football director, right? He started off as chief scout, then he became a football director. All this Deadwood, Bakayoko, Drinkwater, etc., were highlighted by him, right? Once these highlighted them and Roman said, okay, go and get them, she goes and negotiates the deals. That's it. End of. This isn't...
Yeah. So Stav, overall, let's... Yes, we've gone...
you said it's a business. We've gone... Just one last point. You said it's a business, yeah? It is. But it's not a normal corporation, right? It's not a normal corporation, right? We don't have chief executives and people like that making their own decisions. Everything goes through Roman. Everything. Anybody who believes he doesn't have his finger on the pulse and doesn't have the final say in anything is deluded, right? And as far as I'm concerned, his club, he saved us, right? And he does what he wants to do, right? If he doesn't want to put any more money in, he doesn't have to, right? If he doesn't want to spend the money and believes the squad is good enough, with the exception of one or two tweaks, so be it. Then it's down to the coach to utilise what he has. That happens at every major club in Europe, right? Managers do not pick and choose 5 or 6 signings. We were lucky, right, that was allowed, yeah, with Sarri. He got Kovacic on loan, that was concluded, right? He got Jorginho, right? He made the signings he wanted, but then he's expected to work with what he's got after that. Same thing with Jose. He got those 3 players the second time around in his second season. Following season, right, he only got Pedro. And that was to appease him. Ermanalo didn't want Pedro. Jose wanted it. And because Jose was kicking up a stink, right, that's why he left. Because, and it's the same thing.
Okay, Stav, let's I think that will be another discussion for another day. Let me ask you a quick question so we can round off. We've gone 1 hour, 41 minutes into the show, which is 41 minutes longer than we expected. Again, and we don't, the question is this, Stav, I'll start with you, Tavago, then I'll go to Stav. And Stav, that's a great explaining that Marina, it's not in our hands who we sign or who we don't sign. She's just a negotiator for the club. I think it's important to get that point clear, to understand that if we miss out on signing a player, that it's not her fault. And if we sign any player, it's not her fault. It's not because she's there. It's just she's just a negotiator. She just negotiates for the club.
And she has
Yes.
restrictions in her work.
Yeah. So now coming to you, Tavago, the question is, we're just going to digress and go back to the point that we started with for this stream, so we can round off. The question is, do you think Lukaku signing Lukaku was a mistake?
Do you hear me?
Yeah, crystal clear.
Repeat your question.
Do you think signing Lukaku was a mistake?
To be honest, signing Lukaku was not a mistake. The mistake is
signing Lukaku. Okay, go ahead. Signing Lukaku, yes, go ahead.
The problem is where Chelsea were focusing too much on getting Erling Haaland. And then this deal of Haaland took so long, and then we end up buying Lukaku, maybe for a panic buy for getting Lukaku. And then if we had a Milano here, I didn't think we will buy Lukaku or even Haaland and Werner and stuff, because there's too much spending on those players. So I don't think it's a mistake on getting buying Lukaku. I think obviously yes. Last season we were creating a lot of chances. Timo Werner was missing them, and then we thought if we get a striker like me, for example, for Haaland or Lukaku, and then those Werner misses, Lukaku will going to score them easily. So unfortunately, we have Lukaku now. They're not creating those chances that they were creating for Timo Werner last season. I don't think what's going wrong with our players, but I think Lukaku is unfortunate that he didn't play with Chilwell in the same pitch, because Chilwell is good on releasing forward passes. The problem with Alonso, always, if Lukaku or whatever on Kayavas is on up front, is looking for a ball, what did Alonso do? Pass it backwards. So I think way forward to neutralize our attacking players, we need to get rid of maybe Jorginho, maybe Kante. I don't know. We need
let's focus. That's a discussion for another day. Let's focus on Lukaku right now. So you're thinking signing Lukaku wasn't a mistake?
Coachila.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you enlarge that comment at the bottom?
Can I do what to it?
Make that comment by MCIG more visible. All right, I'll read it. Yeah, this answer.
Okay, I can read it for you if you want to, but yeah, I'll come to you. Let's Tavago finish.
It answers the question about Lukaku, right? And he says we only play 3 attackers, and most are played out of position. I would say all are played out of position. Almost half of the attacking power hinges on the wing backs, which brings us back to where we started. If you're not going to get the ball in behind defences, right, or inside the defence, so Lukaku can run with it, we're not going to score. It's as simple as that, right?
Okay. Let me come in if you don't mind, Stab.
Go on.
Yeah, and Tavago, I just said let's leave the Jorginho or who we're getting rid of later for another stream. But overall, do you think signing signing Lukaku wasn't a mistake, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's your point, and I understand your argument. And I'll come to you, Stab. Here's my opinion on that, on Lukaku signing. To me, I'd argue right now, given the evidence, given the things we've seen, signing Lukaku was a mistake. He doesn't fit Tuchel's style of play. Look at Tuchel's teams from Mainz to Dortmund to Paris Saint-Germain. He hasn't played with that Lukaku's kind of striker, in the mode of Lukaku, so to speak. And I get your point. Yes, I'm coming. I'll come in. We'll talk about that stuff, and we'll round off with that. You talked about the ball the team not getting the ball in behind for Lukaku to score. The thing is, let me start with this. Inside the 18-yard box, or the final third if you prefer, Lukaku, his runs are static. His runs are not dynamic. If you look at strikers such as Lewandowski, even Aubameyang.
No way.
I'm coming.
No way.
I'm coming. Let me finish. Can I finish? If you look at Lewandowski, if you look at Aubameyang, if you look at who again should I use? Anelka, even Haaland, their runs in the final third are dynamic. They've made a run, but if they see the defender ahead of them, that the defender will stop the ball. Before the ball gets to that place, they switch position. But Lukaku is always static in the box.
No, can I add something? Wait, can I add something?
Yeah, go
Remember
ahead.
that goal scored against Aston Villa, the header one. What was that? That goal.
You explain. Explain.
What was he standing?
That
Or
was
it
his
was
movement.
dynamic there.
Listen, no. But he does it 99.9% of the time. He's static. He's always waiting for the ball to get for him. Go check it. All the goals he scored. That's my argument. Even Kai Havertz, is dynamic in the box. If the ball is coming, I'm coming. If you put in a cross. Can I say this? If you put in a cross in the box, even Kai Havertz doesn't, even as the ball is already in motion. If he sees that the defender can stop it, he adjusts himself. He adjusts, changes position, and tries to be ahead of the defender. Lukaku doesn't really do that the moment the ball is in motion. That's my argument. He doesn't do it enough. And if you ask me, I'd say, honestly, I'd argue this till tomorrow. He creates more problems for us than he can solve.
You can argue it till next year if you want, right? You're talking, right? Coachila, you're talking about Haaland, right? Who plays in a league, right, where defenses leave their.
No, but we're talking about Lukaku making his run in the box dynamic.
You're on about the movement, right? You're on about the movement, mate. You're talking about the German league. You're talking about a league that doesn't have defences sitting back in numbers, right? In numbers and deep, right? You're talking about different types of defences. Lewandowski is a top striker, right? But how often does he score against top teams at international level? Don't talk about the German league. Don't talk about what a player.
Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, now you answered the question. Do you think signing Lukaku was a mistake or not?
No, but we have to play a system that creates more chances. How far back do you go, Coachila, as a Chelsea fan?
I think I'd say since I was 6.
Which is when?
Which was around
Terry Dixon.
No, around 1986. Let me tell you this,
If
Sav.
it's 86, you know Kerry Dixon. If it is 86, you know Kerry Dixon. Yeah?
No, Sav, can we talk about this? Can we be realistic here? Can we say the truth?
I'm being realistic. I'm talking about Kerry Dixon for a reason. Kerry Dixon used to have 10 chances a game created for him, right? Sometimes more, by Pat Nevin, David Speedy, Mickey Thomas, all the players who were playing wide. And out of that 10, he would miss 8. But because he had that many chances created for him, in the danger areas, right, he would score. He won the Golden Boot 3 consecutive seasons in 3 different divisions, right?
Can you bring it back to Lukaku? Why is he struggling? Is he not getting the chances? Have you not seen?
Because he's playing in front of the defences, right? And he's expected to hold the ball up, which is not his game, and bring the wing backs and the 2 10s or 2 8s, whatever you want to call them, bring them into the game as well, right? Tuchel said it when he criticised him the other day, right? He's part of that attack, right? He is predominantly at his strength by being getting in behind the defences, not holding the ball up. That's not his strength, right? Because he's slow, right? The ball has to be played in the danger area. Look at the places where he scored the goal. Look, in front of goal, right? Last year, if you'd have given them same chances to Werner, he would have missed. And yet Werner scored nearly 30 goals in Germany, right? So don't talk about Germany and all that stuff, yeah?
No, so
right?
I'm not talking about Germany right now. Listen to this stuff.
No, you mentioned Haaland, you mentioned Lewandowski.
No, I'm just talking about their movement in the box. Even in Lukaku's case, here's the thing, Stav. I like this conversation, but we should round off in 10 minutes because it's going too long right now. Here's the thing.
It's easier in Germany.
Okay.
There's more spaces. That's what I'm talking about. Using your wide men.
And that's the thing. Okay, if you say there's more spaces in Italy and Germany, and now Lukaku seems to struggle because there's no space in the Premier League.
Yeah, and I tell you, Haaland won't be an instant hit either. I'll guarantee you he won't.
But even there are other issues that, like I've mentioned, Lukaku's run in the box isn't dynamic. And Lukaku seems only to perform well only when there's space, which brings us back to the same issue. He did well in Inter Milan because there's always space for him to run in behind defenders. Lukaku seems to be, he does better when he has quite a lot of space around him. If not, he struggles 1v1 against opposition defenders. He struggles. He can only. That's
where Haaland's strength is, in the spaces, and because he's got more pace. And
if we've agreed that Lukaku struggles because there's no space, he has to hold up the play. You know, if we agree on that, he holds up the play so that to bring in his teammates into the play. How do we solve the problem?
That's the point. That's the point. It's not his strength. That's not his strength, is it?
So what do you suggest we do? What do you suggest we do for Lukaku to start firing on all cylinders?
With get the ball out wide. Listen, I love Chilwell. At first I had doubts about Chilwell, right? I love him, right? And I love Reece James even more because he's an academy product, right? But even they have times when they stop and play the ball back. It's not just Alonso. It's not just the Spilicueta, right? This is why you have to play your wide men, right? Wide. This is why you have to play wingers, because they stretch the play, right? And then people like Reece James and Chilwell can get forward and be inverted and get into the danger areas because defenders have been pulled out. That's why Kerry Dixon flourished, because Nevin and people like that pulled players out wide, right? That's why Haaland will not flourish at Chelsea if we play the same system, because he won't have the space either, right?
Exactly.
He won't have the space either.
So the space is the... Here's the thing, I understand. Yeah, go ahead.
You're talking about the league, right? Yeah, with the best defences, right? You like Barcelona, they got PK, etc., right? One or two top line defenders, right? Yeah, but it's different, right? But they don't have a solid full defence. Mourinho's success was built on having a solid back four, that one pivot sitting in front and using the width of the pitch, right? That's why you have the success. And by using the width of the pitch, you're dragging up. You watch Ziyech or watch Callum Hudson-Odoi. When they peel off and they go wide, they have one or two players going with them, and that opens the spaces in the middle. That stretches defences. And then they've got to step up. Why did we struggle at Man City? I'll tell you why we struggled at Man City. Because Pep Guardiola pressed us in at our own half and dragged Lukaku back to our own half, the edge of our own half, right? So that he couldn't hurt them, yeah? And they played a high line defence because they have the pace in the defence with Walker and people like that, right? And that's why, right, they only got one goal, because we sat deep. We then did what teams do to us, and it took a special goal by Kevin De Bruyne to beat us. Although Pep had the tactics to create that chance by having us penned in, right? With Tobago, he mentioned Jorginho, right? He didn't play, he didn't start him, did he? Right? But the point is, If he did, we would have conceded more goals because he would have been pressured and pressed. You saw him against West Ham. You saw him, right, against other teams where he's made mistakes and when he's been pressed, right? It's not by accident that in our last 11 games, we've only won 3. Yeah? We've only won 3. We've only lost twice, and the other ones are draws, right? 3 draws equals 2 defeats. We need to wipe out those draws. And to wipe out those draws, we need to start stretching defences that we're playing against who sit deep, right? And then when you're pushing forward with the wing backs, you're leaving spaces behind you, which is what happened, right, when Jorginho made that mistake when he played the ball back and he put Mendy in an awkward position. Mendy could have simply cleared it into the stand, but they're told to play out from the back. You look at Kepa, he's told to play out from the back. He has his feet, he's better with his feet than Mendy is. And a couple of times, right, he went long because he knew he was going to come under intense pressure, right? But when a team sits deep, we have to stretch them. We have to move them around the pitch to where it suits us. And that's what we did to Tottenham, right? We run them ragged. We ran them up their own backside in those 2 games because we used the width of the pitch.
Yeah, I think I understand your point, but then again, to me, I think we all have our opinions on whether we should switch up the system to accommodate him or to get him fighting on all cylinders. I will always take it back.
It's not about
no worry. I always take my argument back to how well he started after when he returned to Chelsea.
Yeah, because we had wing backs who were performing and stretching the defences. Right?
That's by the way. I think we will probably talk about host another stream, which will be based entirely on the system. So I'm going to come to you, Tobago. Can you please tell us about you, and so that we can round up the stream? It's been going for almost 2 hours right now. We'll talk about the system maybe on another Saturday.
That's an hour and a half behind everybody else's. Joking.
I think, guys, we should wrap it up, and then is an argument for another stream. But
yes, another stream. That's the system. I think we'll talk about it. Yeah, go ahead.
But let me say something. I see you have a problem if maybe with bringing Lukaku. Let me say something.
No. Let me make a point clear. Is he a good player? Yes, but with the player we have right now, it would take a drastic change to the way we play to get him to start playing the way he played at Inter. That's my issue. He's a good player, but is Lukaku an all-round striker? Absolutely no. He's not all-round. He has his deficiencies. He's not perfect.
Yes.
You get my point. I don't hate him. I like him. Even if you check my videos, you'll see videos where I wanted him to come back. But that was because I think that video was done before Tuchel took over. The truth is, for the way Tuchel plays, and he's so stubborn in terms of the way he employs systems that I don't see him changing the system exactly to find a way to start accommodating Lukaku. So again, I'm going to
it's not about Coachila.
Repeat myself. It's Lukaku an all-round striker? Absolutely no. He has a lot of deficiencies.
It's not about accommodating Lukaku.
Yes.
It's about accommodating the whole of the attacking line, right? The whole attacking system. This system is defensive.
That's a different issue altogether. Even MCIG has made that statement. I know you've always argued for that. A lot of players are played out of position. That's for sure.
He just made another one there.
Yes, a lot of players are played out of position. We know that.
Wait. He just made another one there where he said we don't have the fullbacks, right? When Mourinho was there.
Yes, and that's a great point. We don't have the fullbacks.
Hang on. We had Ashley Cole and Paulo Ferreira, Wayne Bridge on the other side, and then we shifted Gallas out there as well, right? And they all got forward, and they all scored goals. So no one's going to tell me that we can't play a 4. All that happens is that you not both of the fullbacks can go at the same time, right? And that's also why we need a defensive mid to protect the
exactly.
right? Right? You don't have to be a wing back, right, to provide width. The fullbacks can provide the width with the wingers. And when you play with one fullback and he goes forward, say one side of the pitch, yeah, and he goes forward and he combines with a winger, they play into passing and they open up the defence. And if you've got 2 players attacking down that flank, they've got to send out at least 2 defenders. Yeah? Right? And they're opening up the spaces. Lukaku's strength is in front of the goal. Yeah? His strength is doing what Werner couldn't do last year. Everybody on every single stream said we've got a really good squad. We can challenge for the league. All we need is a striker who can put the balls away. That Werner was missing. He's gone.
Our host is gone.
Yeah?
But yeah,
that Werner was missing. Now we've got a striker whose strength is putting away what Werner was missing. Right?
Steph.
Change it. Yeah, he's still there on the way. No, he's coming back. Somebody, right?
Yeah.
I get what Coachila.
Thank you. My internet acted up a bit. I know, Stav, let's not start this fight. I will schedule a stream and let's talk about that.
You can't start a fight because you won't win it.
I will, honestly. I will do my research and bring you stats that shows. Listen, my argument isn't. Listen. Let me make a point clear here, Stav. I'm not saying again. I agree with you. A lot of our players are played out of position, and that's an issue.
And they're the creators. They're the ones who are going to create the chances for Lukaku, who will put away the chances that Werner was missing. Yeah. Now we're putting too much stock in this fact that we won the Champions League, right? The manager was in charge for 7 games in the Champions League. He lost 1, he drew 1, and he won 5. Yeah, right? So I don't think that you can play a full season in a Premier League, right, using that system. Not a full season. You have to adapt. When you've got injuries, change it, right? Don't try forcing players into a wing-back position, yeah, when that's not their natural game. And that's what he's doing. He's tried Pulisic.
Like I said, Stav, I agree with you. A lot of our players are being played out of position, but that's a discussion for another day. And believe me,
not a mistake. Lukaku's not a mistake.
Okay, you know what? That's gonna be the next for the next Blue Morning show. I think let's argue whether Lukaku was a mistake or not.
Yeah.
I think that would be helpful.
No.
Yeah.
Next week, let's discuss the system. Right? It's plus points, it's minus points, and let's compare managers. Yeah.
No problem. We will do that. In the next Saturday, we'll do that. And I think we've gone for 2 hours.
During the Abramovich era, right? There's your subject matter for next week. Okay?
Yes, let's do that. I agree with you. So
but you better get your arguments ready. Yeah. Lukaku's not a mistake.
We'll talk about that.
He's not the world's best. He's not the world's best, but he's not a mistake. Because
I'm glad you're saying he's not the world's best, and that's an argument for another day. That's an argument for another day again. Yeah. So, and with that, I see you have a partner. You guys are ganging up on me. And with that, I say thank you to everybody that remained in the chat. MCIG always supporting this channel. Just Viola always supporting this channel. We had Saint there, great input. He has some great input there. Thai Talks, CFC, some great input from you. We also had this Street Beer, the queen of all streams herself. We had Jem from GNA TV, and we had Green Tuff, my brother from Green Tuff YouTube channel and also Global Fans channel. We had Herbert, and we also have a Russian friend here. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. So yeah, I appreciate you all providing great value to the chat. It's been a nice conversation, but unfortunately we went too long because Stav is so passionate. Whenever he talks, he likes to win, but I can assure him I will win the next one. So,
no, you won't. Listen,
so I appreciate you all finding time.
I've got 50 years, right? I've seen everything at Chelsea.
Yes,
and you know
yes.
I don't just watch Chelsea.
Yes.
You know that.
On that note, yeah, I say thank you all. I appreciate you all finding time to make it a great stream today. And I hope to see you guys next Saturday and also in our pre-game show for the Chelsea versus Tottenham Premier League game show. God bless you all. See you guys next time and bye.
Bye. See you later.